Hey, welcome to Lead Up Podcast. I'm your host and publisher, Mike Harbour. This is episode 432. We're going to talk about exit insights that will help you gain a new perspective from your leadership. I'm going to share 3 things with you today that are going to help you think about when you lose people. What can you do to gain insight from that to help you become a better leader, help you create some things on your team that you need to create so that hopefully we can reduce turnover in the future, or maybe even create a boomerang effect where those people go out and become your best recruiters for you in the marketplace. I know no leader enjoys talking about when employees leave. And there's an old saying in the marketplace, I don't know that I'm 100% in agreement with it, but people leave leaders, they don't leave companies. That's what a lot of people say. And look, there's some truth to that, but if you're following the Lead Up podcast and you're working on your leadership and you're getting better, then there are other reasons why people leave. It could be the company. It could be the team. It could be that they don't feel like there's a purpose or any growth opportunities within that role. You may be a great leader in some respects, connecting with them and making people feel good, but ultimately, we're responsible as leaders for reducing turnover and giving people a reason to stay. I hope you'll continue to listen to the Lead Up podcast this episode, but also go back. I've been teaching all year right from my book, Quit Losing Talent, the expanded edition. If you don't have a copy of that, I'd recommend you go to Amazon and grab a copy. There's lots of great resources in that book, great resources on our website as well, harborresources.com. Today, we're going to focus on 3 essential areas. As I said, 3 or more. I'm going to give you a bunch of tips, but the 3 real areas that I'm going to focus on are exit insights that transform your leadership perspective. How to use feedback during those exit interviews to reduce turnover and improve your leadership practices, because at the end of the day, that's where we got to get better. The second piece is breaking down barriers and addressing workplace challenges, maybe even some bullies that are in the workplace that are creating reasons for people to leave. And then the third piece is graceful transitions and building, as I said, that boomerang talent pool. I want to challenge you to grab a notebook, grab a pen, take some notes. Let's jump into that first tip that I want to share with you. That first principle, exit insights that transform your leadership. When employees choose to leave, it's natural for leaders to feel defensive or disappointed, or maybe even point a finger and say they weren't a good fit here. There's lots of things that happen. It really depends, and I talk about this a lot, what's going on between your ears. It depends on maybe how much turnover you've experienced. But if we looked at these moments as opportunities for learning and growth, that's a power of the well-executed exit interview. I'm a believer that we have to constantly stay in growth mindset. Carol Dweck wrote a great book called Mindset. She talks about growth versus fixed mindset. And many leaders, let me just describe what I think fixed mindset is as it relates to turnover or people leaving. Many leaders, as I mentioned a minute ago, they point the finger at the employee. They weren't a good fit. We didn't like them anyway. They just didn't really want to work hard. There's lots of things that we begin to point our finger at. And when we do that, we lose an opportunity to learn from them where maybe, just maybe, we could have done some things differently above and beyond pay. If you're paying fairly, and I'm assuming you are, most companies are trying to do so, paying fairly and equitably as it relates to the marketplace for similar type positions, then there are other reasons people leave. Now, it could be because they relocated. You can't fix that. If they're moving, you can't fix that. It could be because they decide to go home and take care of an ailing parent, or they decide to be a stay-at-home mom or dad. It could be that they just decided that one of their spouse got a new job and they have enough money to stay home. And there's a lot of different things that people could leave for. But if they're leaving, this is where the exit interview comes in. If they're leaving and taking a job, a similar job especially, for similar pay, then what is it that created the space for them to leave where you're at? So one of the first things we need to do in this gathering exit insights that are going to transform perspective, the first thing you need to do is create space for honest feedback. Employees will only share their true thoughts if they feel safe and respected. Now, that has a little bit to the way you've led them in the past before they decided to leave. We have to make it clear that their feedback is valued. We're going to use it for growth, and it won't be held against them. We want to ask open-ended questions like, what could we have done to make your experience better? Or what aspects of the workplace did you find challenging? The key is not to miss the opportunity to get some feedback. And look, I work with some companies, they do digital exit interview process, but we can never get to the question behind the question. We can never get honest feedback in a digital format. And often by the time we get that feedback, it's too late. We might have lost 2 or 3 other employees already because the feedback it doesn't get to us quick enough for us to fix or at least remove some of the obstacles that we could have removed that would have prevented this individual from leaving. Number 1 is create a safe space for honest feedback. Ask for that. Use it as a growth opportunity for yourself as a leader. Number 2 is look for patterns and trends. Pay attention to recurring issues across multiple exit interviews. Are you hearing about unclear expectations, a gap in development opportunities, or ineffective communication? Patterns reveal systemic changes that need to be addressed. Many reasons people leave is it's just the unclear expectations. We're asking people to work harder, but we're not really creating clarity on direction and how to do it or holding everybody in alignment to the expectations. We're asking a few people to work harder and we're allowing others not to work so hard. There are lots of things that you need to make sure you're gathering during this exit interview process, and then you use that as an opportunity to get better, because it's much easier to keep the people you have than to go out and find talent that's going to be a fit. And guess what you have to do? You got to go through all this recruitment and interview process. And then if you're lucky enough to hire them and get them to join your team, if you're a great leader and you've got great processes and systems that we teach in the QLT framework, you've got at least 90 days to get them onboarded, and maybe longer, depending on the scope of the role that you're having to hire them for, but at least 90 days to get them onboarded to be an effective contributor to your team. The third piece is act on the feedback. If you get the feedback and you do nothing with it, look, that's like going to the doctor and getting a physical and getting some blood work, and the doctor telling you have challenges in your blood work that you need to address with your diet and exercise or any other thing, and then you just blowing it off and not doing anything. You're a ticking time bomb at that point if you don't take action on that. So showing employees, both current and departing, that you're listening is critical, that you take feedback and you identify actionable steps that make the culture better and create a place where people want to stay. And those changes you implement are going to help everybody. It's going to help you keep the ones that maybe they haven't left yet, but they're thinking about it. They're looking. Studies tell us right now that about 70% of people in the workforce are looking for other opportunities. Can you afford to lose 70% of your team right now? If you can't, you might want to start doing what we call a talent lock conversation. Grab a book, Quit Losing Talent book, learn how to do a talent lock conversation so you can quit losing people. Simon Sinek said this. He said, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And so you're going to lose people. 100% retention is impossible for most organizations. But if we can get 80% retention, 90% retention, you're an effective leader. You've got a place where people want to stay. You're doing some things well. Let's look at the second piece, breaking down barriers and addressing workplace bullies. Now, exit interviews help us understand the why behind turnover. It's also crucial to address those underlying causes, as I mentioned a minute ago, like toxic behaviors that create barriers to an employee's success. I mentioned earlier, they may not leave you, the leader. They may be leaving because you have someone who's toxic on the team that's been allowed or is being allowed to mistreat people, to talk harshly to people, to berate people, to bully people. And when we allow that behavior to go unchecked, it poisons even the strongest workplace cultures, and even your top talent will leave. So leaders must be proactive in identifying and confronting these behaviors before they take root. So here's some critical signs some steps that you can take. Number one is identify the signs of toxicity. Identify those things. Like toxic behaviors can be subtle, a sarcastic remark, constant interruptions, gossiping behind someone's back, or overt, outright intimidation. Gossiping behind someone's back is a cancer. When I'm working with people, or I have people on my team, we talk about gossip and we say, you get 2 strikes, and this is the first one. When I'm onboarding someone, and from a gossip standpoint, you get 2 strikes to gossip about someone. Right now, in this interview, let's get it out. If you want to talk about somebody, let's get it out. And then when you come, gossip's no longer allowed. That's your second strike. I don't give 3 strikes when it comes to gossip because it's a cancer that can destroy the culture of my team. And so we need to pay attention to these team dynamics and listen to what employees are saying or not saying. The other thing is, as I just said, create a zero tolerance policy. Establish clear guidelines that communicate what behavior is acceptable. This is why our values are so important. Jump into our book, tactic number 1, and quit losing talent. Target checking your values. Know what your values are. Know what behaviors people need to model in that. And then create a zero tolerance policy for anybody that falls out of alignment with that. That's how we hold people accountable. And then the third piece is addressing issues swiftly and directly, like shovel the pile while it's small. Don't let it fester. Don't let it go. Don't hope it goes away as a leader. When you notice bullying or toxic behavior, confront it immediately. Have private, solution-focused conversations with those involved. Create a space where they take ownership for their behavior and the way they treat others, and then hold them accountable to that. Toxicity doesn't just hurt individuals, it damages the entire team. Brene Brown says integrity is choosing courage over comfort. It's choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, and easy. Look, it takes courage as a leader to step into these things because no one really wants to deal with a toxic employee. But if you don't, you're going to have that toxic employee eventually is going to be the only employee you have left because they will run people off. Let's look at the third thing I want to share with you today, those graceful transitions and creating this boomerang talent pool. We're talking about the long view here, okay? Just because an employee leaves doesn't mean they're gone forever. Maybe you don't want them back, but if it's someone you hate losing, positive offboarding experiences can pave the way for what we call the boomerang talent effect. Most people, if they've experienced a good culture, they might leave for a little bit more money or a title change, but they go someplace where the culture is toxic. We want to create a place where they can come back. And how you handle that exit interview, that offboarding experience, is critical. So number one thing you need to do, celebrate their contributions. Talk to them about how they served you and your team to be a better place, what they brought to the organization. Send them off with a positive message, or team celebration, a heartfelt letter from you, the leader. Number two, keep the door open. Let them know, be explicit about the possibility that they can come back, and just say something like this: Mike, we'd love to stay connected, and we'll hope you'll consider us if you change your mind, or if for your next chapter in life, in your professional world, if that feels right to you. That just leaves a place, a space for the door to be open. And then the third piece that maybe you haven't thought about before is just build an alumni network. Stay in touch with former employees. Create a network where you share updates, invite them to events, or offer continued professional resources. Keeping them connected to your organization ensures that they'll think of you when seeking new opportunities. Let me leave you with this. Offboarding shouldn't be a departure. It should be the start of a new phase in your relationship. No company can promise lifelong employment, but what we can promise is to build people who remain employable for as long as possible, whether it's here or someone else. That's a quote by Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn. Love that quote. But what we do is we show that we care for employees beyond their tenure. You're building a talent pipeline for the future. So I hope that in this episode, you've maybe discovered a few things that you're missing when you lose people. As a leader, this helps you think better. And if you do these things right, it should spur you to start like doing some of these conversations in your retention processes as well. Look, 3 things: exit insights, gather them and use them. Tackle those toxic behaviors, foster long-term relationships. We want to continue to help you. One of the ways we can do that right now, one, just continue to listen to the Lead Up podcast, but go to Amazon and grab a copy of our book, Quit Losing Talent, the Expanded Edition. If we can serve you or your team or your company even in helping you learn at a deeper level some of these principles that we teach from our book, then reach out to me at mike@harborresources.com. Hey, thanks for tuning in to episode 432 of the Lead Up podcast. Leave us a review on your favorite listening platform, share it with your colleagues, and continue to listen to the Lead Up podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.